Hey everybody, I got something really cool to share with you today. Before I get started though, you can see I'm wearing another one of the soccer shirts someone sent me from Germany, who's now hosting the UEFA Cup games or UEFA Championships, and I've been recording all of the games and really enjoying watching that stuff. And of course the Copa America games in the US just started too, and I've been watching some of those, so lots of great soccer going on. And no, I don't have a favorite. I just enjoy watching all of them. Of course, I like watching the favorites play, but I also like pulling for some of those underdogs, and there's been a lot of really close games, so it's been a lot of fun watching those. If any of you guys want to send me your country's favorite soccer shirt or something like that, I will wear it on camera. And I do appreciate you guys sending me t-shirts. It's really cool. Okay, I'm going to talk to you today about one of our best-selling items, and it just got better. You got to wait. You got to hold on here. You got to watch this video. Don't miss this one. This is one of the best. This is No-Rez. You hear me talk about this stuff all the time. We put it in everything. It's like the miracle cure-all for a bunch of noisy boxes. So we bring this stuff in by the truckload. And when I say truckload, I mean 53-foot-long trailers completely full from front to back of No-Rez. And this stuff lasts us, that shipment will last us maybe 10 months. So we go through quite a bit of it. And we used to get this stuff to where it was just palletized. It was just stacked and shrink wrapped. And we would have all these loose pieces we would have to pull apart and stack and put it in the containers. And then we'd have to figure out boxes for it. And then we would get boxes for this stuff. The boxes are 28 inches by 24 inches, and they're 4 inches thick. So we'd slide as many as 4 sheets down into that box. Now, there's a couple of issues that we've had with the No-Rez, and one immediately, as you can see, is size. When we ship that stuff out in those boxes, whether we ship out 1 sheet or 4 sheets, the shipping cost is the same, because we're getting into dimensional weight rather than actual weight. It's because the box is so big dimensionally. And then so when some of you guys just order a sheet or two, what we've been doing is laying this out there on the table saw and cutting this thing in half and putting it in boxes that are half the size to get the dimensional weight down so you guys aren't spending so much money on shipping costs. And the shipping cost really adds up, and especially now that fuel costs have kind of gotten a little higher again, shipping cost is getting up there. So that's a big factor. The other thing that we've had, and it's been very isolated, but we've had a few customers have issues with the actual foam where they've stored them in a high heat area. Like they've had the speakers out in their garage, or they stored them in their attic for a while, or something where they've been exposed to high heat for a long period of time. And I've had some customers that have had No-Rez in their speakers for 8 to 10 years, and they've noticed that it's gotten a little dry and kind of crumbly. So we wanted to address that as well. So several things to address. So we've come out with new No-Rez. We've been calling it No-Rez 2, but it's just new No-Rez. And instead of having it made in sheets that are twice the size of this big one and then cut in fourths, we've had it made in a narrower sheet and then had that cut in fourths. So these sheets are only 19 5/8 by 19 5/8. So the great thing about that is it gets it out of the dimensional weight and into just actual weight. So it's going to save you guys a lot of money on shipping. The other thing is it's gotten better. The foam is a little bit heavier foam, but it's a little more open. So air blows through it a little bit better, but it's still a little denser. And then on the damper, which is the back side of it that actually does the resonance control, we went from a 2 millimeter thick damper to one that's 2 3/4 thick. So we went to a heavier damper. Also, on those boxes, these things come 10 in a box. So a lot of times we can just ship a whole box or just pull a few sheets out and ship it in the box that we got it in. So we don't have to handle it as much. We're not having to cut it. We're not having to do a bunch of stuff to it. Whereas the old boxes, they came 19 of them in a box. So 19 of them tall in a great big box that at that point weighed almost 80 pounds. And it was it was tough to handle. So whereas these boxes are much smaller, easier to handle, you know, not as much weight. It's going to save you guys a ton, and it's going to save us a lot of time, because time is money. We're not having to cut these up in smaller pieces and try and get the weights down. So heavier damper also, and that's going to equal a little bit better resonance control. And I know some of you guys, I know what you're thinking, some of you, and you've asked this question a bunch of times. When you put this into your speaker, does it take up airspace? And the answer is no. It's still volume neutral. And the reason it's volume neutral is that the foam layer slows down the airflow in the box and makes it act as if the box is bigger, while the damper actually takes up some airspace. If we just took the damper alone and lined the box with the damper, it would reduce the airspace slightly. I mean, we're talking 2.5 millimeters, or 2 3/4 millimeters thick here. So we're not taking a lot of volume out of it when you put something like that in. But the foam layer adds it back. So when we do an impedance sweep on a ported box, and we measure it, and then we put the No-Rez in and then we measure it again, the tuning frequency hasn't changed. It's still right about the same. It's pretty neutral in the amount of space that it takes up. So hopefully that answers some of that questions. Now let's get back to the specifics on this. Like I said, the old No-Rez, 24 inches by 27 inches, 19 5/8 by 19 5/8. The square feet of the old stuff was 4.5 square feet. The new stuff, 2.67 square feet. Now here's the cool part. The old sheets weigh 4 pounds per sheet. The new sheets, 3.2 pounds, which means the old stuff weighed 0.89 pounds per square foot. This stuff weighs 1.2 pounds per square foot, so it's 30% heavier. So it's denser. There's more there to control the resonance and damp that stuff out. So the product's gotten better, and the shipping cost is going down, and the price is going to get even better. And now the reason the price can get better is we're not having to handle it as much, to cut the stuff down and to put it in boxes and take the stuff out of a box and put it in another box. So we're saving labor quite a bit. And I was able to calculate what the cost was having this made and keep the newer stuff, even though we've gone to a heavier damper and better foam, keep it at the same price. The old stuff, the old No-Rez, is gotten up to $59 a sheet, whereas the new stuff is $34.95 a sheet. So here's the good part. I'm going to be able to give you better quantity discounts on this stuff. So at $34.95 a sheet, that's up to 4 sheets. At 5 sheets, I'm going to drop the price to $32.50 a sheet. At 10 sheets, it's going to only be $29.95 a sheet. So it's getting a lot cheaper, because we're not even having to open the box at that point. When you're ordering 10 sheets of this stuff, we just put a label on the box. Saves us a lot of time and a lot of money. 50 sheets, we're going to give you a break there. So 5 boxes, $27.95 a sheet. And at 100 plus, we're going to let these go for $25.95 a sheet. So you're going to get some significant savings when you order this stuff in quantities. Now, we've also done a lot of testing on the No-Rez and on the newer version. And we've tried it in different types of speakers. Speakers that are what we call lossy cabinets. That means it's a big unbraced box, like a lot of these vintage speakers that come in. They're buzz boxes. And so this stuff really helps a lot. But what we're seeing is on a lot of these big unbraced boxes is the panels flex. Whenever you're creating pressure in the box, the panels will flex. And whether you put No-Rez on it or not, those panels are still going to flex. So when we put the accelerometer on there, we're still seeing the vibration of that cabinet in the same spots, and it's not pulling out the resonance, because it's not really resonance. It's not really ringing. It's pressure creating movement of those panels. What we are seeing, though, is harmonics of that are higher in frequency. The No-Rez is damping those out. Where we're really seeing the bigger advantages is some of the cabinets that are lightly braced or have some bracing. The resonances are at higher frequencies. So you're not getting a lot of panel flexing with each bass note or with pressure changes in the box. We're exciting that panel and then it's resonating. And that's where the No-Rez really makes improvements. And in a lot of cases, we're seeing 10 dB drops in output from the noise of the box. That's the cabinet making noise, at least 10 dB drops, and sometimes in some areas as much as 15 dB drops. And so I've even got a few graphs I want to show you here on some of the speakers we were testing. Hobbs had a set of Klipsch RP 600Ms, and those were a small speaker, and they've got one brace that goes all the way around the box. So it splits the box in half vertically, and it breaks the cabinet up into smaller sections. So we put an accelerometer in the middle of the first section, and we measured it with without No-Rez and then with No-Rez. And I want to throw this up and let you take a look at it. And you'll notice that it drops that stuff down quite a bit. Now, right there in one range, you can see where the cabinet wall is flexing, and it's not doing as much where it's flexing. But then as it's ringing in the resonant, it's dropping it quite a bit. Then we put the accelerometer right in the center of the cabinet, right where the brace is. Even though it's braced there, there's still a ring going on there. There's still some resonance to the panel. And with this stuff on each side of that, it's still damped it out quite a bit. So this measurement is with the accelerometer right on the brace. So even though that there's a brace on there, the No-Rez is still reducing ringing quite a bit. And then the last measurement, we took the same measurement, we moved it to the back, or closer to the back of the cabinet, again between the brace and the back of the cabinet, and took a measurement with and without No-Rez. And again, we're seeing considerable drops in output across the board there. When you take No-Rez and you line your cabinet with that thing, you're doing away with a lot of noise. And a lot of these commercial speakers out there are very lightly constructed, because lightly constructed speakers cost less to build and they cost a lot less to ship. And especially all that stuff down in those budget regions, they're almost always very lightly constructed. So when you go in and you add No-Rez to those things, the difference can be quite profound. I mean, it can be a significant difference in tightening up the bass, cleaning up the vocal region, and all the upper vocal harmonics. It'll take all of that noise and eat it up so that you just hear the music and the music only. It's a great product. We love it, and we sell tons of it, and can't wait to get a lot of the new No-Rez out on the market. And we're going to go through a lot of those kits we offer, and we're going to have to reconfigure how many sheets it needed of the original No-Rez versus how many sheets it's going to need of the new stuff. And in a lot of cases, it's going to save you guys money too, because you didn't need a full sheet of No-Rez, or you needed 1.5 sheets. And so you had to buy 2 sheets. Whereas with the smaller sheets, you can be a little more precise as to exactly how many sheets you need to buy, and not wind up buying excess or extra because you simply just didn't need that much. So a lot of little small speakers, you can just do 1 sheet and do the pair, versus you may have used some of the bigger No-Rez and you didn't need a sheet that big. So it's going to save you guys a lot of money in a whole lot of ways, and I can't wait to get it out there and hear more feedback from you guys, because we get tons and tons of positive feedback on the No-Rez, and we get a lot of reorders on No-Rez. People go buy new speakers that have used a No-Rez in the past, and the first thing they do is order No-Rez and line the whole speaker with it to improve the sound. So that's it for this video. I'm glad you guys stuck with this one. I know it was just an informational video, but I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you guys watching all of our videos, and thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, please do. And I'll see you guys in the next video.